This season turn it up to 10. Sorta like a bad habit, we gon' do it again. Ready or not, we're gonna tie up some men. Go tell the 36, try to grab all the friends. We're back like we never left. On track like a treble clef. Skip a beat on the 7th rest. Bring feast, we don't pass them over. We got the first fruits, no way to show us. This yoke is easy, this burns light. Even with a loud mouth trying to eat at the mic. Even if we down south, the humidity spike. Veils torn in two, so we gon' be alright. Don't stop, they're in need of it though. Through grace by faith, they could easily grow. New wave, new age, new way to see bro. Now one truth, life, one way to his throne. Can't live on that bread alone. Every word of God's mouth will fuel me on. That's scripture, that's Christ alone. That's grace alone, that's faith alone. All glory to God, cause that's his alone. Since the lamb's been slain, we can each belong. The Lord is my strength, my peace, and my song. Yet I'll lay it all down at the feet of his throne. So relax, got it still in control. He knows every care, every fear that you hold. He knows every hair, every need for your soul. Nothing new around here, this story's been told. I'm just saying there's a time in the season you gotta be a Berean. If you just hear and believe it, you could be walking with demons. It could be rendering Caesar. All the things that go to God, that's a little like treason. Wait, welcome back, my friends. Did you ever really think we could pass the 10? Our socks up, we about to trend. Cause the whole 36 wanna rap again. Wait, sounds too good to be true. Like Rabbinic Candyland, ain't no ladders, just shoot. We hold true if it's loaded in the cannon. Best believe it's understanding. If it's not, it ain't proof. Like sacred name of the two-house frame. He gets something to tickle, then you fill it in the blanks. It's hide and seek, let's see if you can find out all the little messages you hit before the timeout. Ever seen a scholar with a blue belt? I have, he's about to make your food melt. The loud one and he strikes again, but don't let him close range, he gon' bite your friends. So relax, got it still in control. He knows every care, every fear that you hold. He knows every hair, every need for your soul. Nothing new around here, this story's been told. I bet you feel weak and your life is in tatters. With Bruce Street, your body is battered. You can't reach, trying to climb up that ladder. Sit back and hold fast till Messiah matters.
Day is it? Shalom and welcome to Messiah Matters. This is episode 540. It's not Wednesday, it's a secret show. Welcome to the one person who caught it in the chat room. Maybe there's more now. And it looks like there might be more now. All right, so anyway, hey, what's going on? If you're new to this show, my name is Caleb Hegg. Who am I? Well, I am the director of Torah Resource, a Messianic Jewish company that started in 2002. But, hey, here's the twist. We're one law. So, yeah, we've been doing scholarly work in that realm for a really long time. Okay. Why am I doing a secret show? Now, let me just check real quick. I want to make sure my stream is good here. Okay. Why am I doing a secret show? I'm going to tell you why I'm doing a secret show because I did a show several weeks back on the Et Cepher, and there has been a lot of discussion that has come into my inbox, into my mailbox concerning the Et Cepher. And so I wanted to do a follow-up show, but here's the thing. It actually looks like Wednesday will be my last show, and I got to do a follow-up show for 2 weeks because I'm going to be traveling and whatnot. And so I wanted to jump in and do this follow-up show so that it wasn't so far removed from the original show. Now, here's the thing: is that this Wednesday in 2 days, I'm going to keep going with my show on one law theology. We're going to go back to distinction theology. We're going to look at Rudolph. I think what we got to do. I think we got to do it. I think we got to walk through Rudolph's entire article, which is a total hit piece on one law theology, and that's fine. That's okay. He can write what he wants to write. But ultimately, I think that it's important for us to go through it. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go through the entire thing. It's 48 pages, but I think we'll start maybe 3 or 4 pages in, and we'll just walk through it. I think really you can get through to the ends. I think it's like page, I don't know, 28 or something like that. You're done with it. But it'll be a couple weeks worth of shows. So what we're going to do is on Wednesday, we'll start it. I'll take 2 weeks off because I'm going to be traveling, and then I'll be back, and we'll keep going with it. In the meantime, maybe we'll do some more secret shows because I am getting more emails about different things. And honestly, I can do what I want because I'm the host of the show, right? So like I can come on here and talk whenever I want to. Anyway, that's the reason for the secret show. Enough chit chat. Hang on, let's see how many. Look at that. We got 4 people in the chat room. Hey, welcome. You guys are champions. Okay. Hegg at TorahResource.com, Hegg at TorahResource.com. That is my email address. You can get a hold of me directly. I check all my email and I read all of them unless they get stuck in my spam folder. Then I might miss them. 253-465-3205. It's 253-465-3205. That is the comment line. If you call that line, you can leave a message. Tell me how much you love me, hate me, disagree with me, agree with me. Doesn't matter. Whatever you want. You can find past shows, MessiahMatters.com, and of course, TorahResource.com. We're getting some, we're sewing up the ends of this rebuild on the site, and I think it's. I got one more thing that we're doing. It's going to make it really easy to navigate the commentary or the notes on the Torah. So that's going to be good. Okay, and please do not forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. That way you can get notifications when I do secret shows, right? So see that little bell there that you got to click? Click that bell. Okay, so let's get into this real quick. This might not be, normally the shows are an hour long. This might not be an hour long show. Okay, let's go to the Et Cepher. Okay, if you missed the first show, link in the description on the Et Cepher, that is. So if you don't know what the Et Cepher is, it's a claim to be a translation. It's not. It's a butchery of the Bible, of the English Bible. Tyndale is rolling in his grave for sure to think that someone would butcher the English text of the Bible in such ways. The culprit in this. Actually, we're going to talk about the culprit in this. So. Do I need to? Great question. Do I need to read the Rudolph article in advance for the upcoming show? No, you do not. In fact, I would suggest you don't. If you haven't already, don't, because we'll go through it together and I'll give some commentary. It'll be like the director's cut, except for I'd have had nothing to do with it. Okay. Anyway, so let's go. Let's see here. How are we going to do this? Okay. Let's go to, so some people have sent in, I asked, hey, what's the worst butchering job that somebody did, that the Et Cepher did in the text? And there's been some good feedback. Some people have mentioned a number of things. However, there's one person who has emailed me probably 3 or 4 times. I can tell that he really does not like the Et Cepher, and he's done some like investigative journalistic work to uncover a lot of the questions that we had on this show. Now, he did it long before I did this show, right, on the Et Cepher. But he did a lot of work, and then he sent me all of his emails, and so I'm just to honor this gentleman who has done all this work. He sent me this one. Hebrews 2:7. Okay, I'm going to switch over to a different view. And I'm in Acts right now. Let's go to Hebrews 2:7. Okay. Oh, man, you know what I forgot to do? This isn't going to work because I need to get the Et Cepher up here. Okay, hang on just a second. Hang on just 1 second. I'm going to try to switch my view here once I get into Acts. Oh, no, I mean Hebrews. Sorry. Once I get into Hebrews. See, this is what happens when I do a secret show. I'm not prepared because it's secret even to me. I didn't know I was going to do it until I woke up this morning. I thought, hey, I should do a show. He puts it with, okay. He puts it with the writings of Paul. Interesting. I mean, a lot of people believe that the writings, that Hebrews is written by Paul. I don't think so personally. But hey, okay. Let's see if this works. There it goes. Okay. So I am in This is the app, right? This is the Cepher abridged app. Now, as you can see, right? Can you see this? Yes, you can. Let me pull it over just a little bit. You get the whole text in here. Okay, there you go. Okay, sorry about that. So, let's go to Hebrews 2:7. Okay, 2:7. This is what, so, okay, maybe we should, yeah, okay, let's go here. The hard part is, give me 1 second here. Hang on just a second. Sorry. Okay, so let me read. Here's what we're gonna do. Let me read it in the original, in the ESV first. Okay, I said original. The ESV. You made him. Okay, and this is talking about Yeshua, right? So let's get some context here. Let's start in 2:5. So this is ESV 2:5, Hebrews 2:5 through 7. Okay, for it was not to angels that God subjected the world to come, of which we are speaking. It has been testified somewhere, what is man, that you are mindful of him, or the Son of Man, that you care for him. 2:7. You made him for a little while lower than the angels. You have crowned him with glory and honor, putting everything in subjection under his feet. And this is from Psalm 8, 4 through 6. Hang on just a second. You know what? I'm so sorry. I think what we got to do is we got to kick back over here. I was right the first time, right? I was right the first time to get this in accordance first. Okay. Sorry about that. So this is from Psalm 8, 4 through 6. Let's see if I have a Hebrew text. Psalm 8. I am in the Septuagint here. That's okay. Psalm 8. Now, why is it important to go to Psalm 8? Let's read this and see what it says. What is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you care for him, yet you have made him a little lower than the heavenly beings. And this is, the Septuagint says angels. Interesting. So the Septuagint says angels and crowned him with glory. Now, this is important because so this is where Pigeon, by the way, if you don't know, Stephen Pigeon is the one who's behind the Et Cepher translation, where the quote marks, or anytime I say Et Cepher translation, assume there are quote marks around translation. It's not a translation. It's a butcher job. So this is important right here that we have Me Elohim, okay, from Elohim, okay. Now, I ain't kick back so you can, okay. So, what's going on here? Well, Pigeon is going to have, Pigeon's gonna insert his own theology here. And he's gonna do that because he thinks that it's okay to insert his own theology, which it's not okay to insert your own theology here, like willy-nilly, whenever you want. Okay, so now we've kicked over to Pigeon. We're right here, 7. This is what he says. He says, you made him a little lower than Elohim. Capital Elohim. And this is where our friend who sent the email in is getting very hung up, because why would Pigeon put capital Elohim? You crowned him with glory and honor and did set him over the works of your hands. The way that Pigeon has inserted capital Elohim here in Hebrews 2:7 makes it sound like Yeshua is lower than God, right? Now, why has Pigeon done this? Well, he's done this because in Psalm 8 it has the word Elohim, and I'm assuming, I can only assume that Pigeon is taking his cues from Heiser. Right? Heiser, who is now passed, but Heiser believed that anytime you have the word Elohim, it means like spiritual beings, which is wrong, okay? But nonetheless, in fact, when I read his book, Unseen Realms, and he got to his, I'm talking about Heiser now, and he got to his exposition on the word Elohim, I was very confused. I couldn't figure out, like, did I miss a portion of the book? Did I read past a portion of the book? I actually went back to see, like, okay, did he explain somewhere more, like where he's getting this from? No, he just makes this assumption that this is what the word Elohim means, and then he expects his audience just to believe it. It really made zero sense to me. Yet I've had a lot of people try to like continue on this notion that the word Elohim means some kind of like spiritual. So anyway, what Pigeon is doing is he's, in my mind at least, because I can't understand why else he would do this. He has, keep in mind here that the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Tanakh, of the Old Testament, is quoted more than the Hebrew version. We know this because I'll give you a great example of this, okay? In the book of 1 Corinthians, which I'm currently going through in my Bible study right now, okay? Paul uses the Septuagint as his base. We know this because the Septuagint is different than the MT, the Masoretic text, especially in Isaiah. In fact, the theological points that Paul is making is based specifically on the Septuagint, not on the Hebrew text. And if you compare the Greek to the Hebrew, there's clearly some meanings that Paul is taking from the Greek that you can't take from the Hebrew. It's just not there. And so he's using the Septuagint. And like, is there a standardized Septuagint? No, not necessarily. So there's multiple Greek texts of the Tanakh, but clearly he's using a Greek version of the Bible, not a Hebrew version of the Bible. And I forget what the exact percentage is, but the apostolic writers, the New Testament writers, the reason that they are using the Greek text of the Tanakh and not the Hebrew text of the Tanakh is because they are trying to reach people who are Greek speaking, who are not Hebrew speakers. Now, if they were speaking to, let's say, and keep in mind here that Greek was the lingua franca of the day, so it's not like everyone was walking around just speaking Hebrew or Aramaic. In fact, it was a smaller amount of people. When Paul addresses the people in the temple in Acts 21 and 22, right? He says, "See, look, now I'm using your own language. Like I'm speaking to you. I'm paraphrasing, of course. I'm speaking to you in the language of the fathers." But ultimately, we know that Greek was widespread even among the Jews in the first century. The farther out you get from Judea, right, the less Hebrew is known, right? The less inscriptions, all that kind of stuff. So it seems like the reason that the apostles and the writers of the apostolic scriptures are using Greek is because they know that they're not going to reach anybody. Who are they going to reach with Hebrew? A very, very, very small portion of people. So what do they use? Not only do they use Greek to convey their message to the people, but they also use the Septuagint, the translation of the Tanakh in the Greek. And why do they do that? Because that's what their audience knows. And so they base their arguments on it. So for Pigeon to all of a sudden, for him to decide, hey, I'm going to switch this, the writer of the Hebrews did not use the MT. He didn't use the Hebrew text of the Tanakh. He used the Greek. And we know this because he uses angelos here, right? And so what Pigeon is attempting to do is he is attempting to insert his own theological bias into the text, which we see in translations. But this is an egregious one, right? Because what he's doing is he is dismantling he's dismantling the deity of Yeshua. Whether or not he knows it or not. He could be like, oh yeah, I'm really strong on the deity of Yeshua. I have no clue. But yeah, this is bad. This is a bad one. Okay, let's go back and see where I'm at here. Chat room, looking forward to reading Rob's new book on Elohim. Yeah, short little book, but if you took his class, I think that he covers most of it in that. And I did take that class. It was excellent. And I know that Rob just did an interview with Wilber. And I didn't have time to watch the whole thing yet, but I'm sure that he was promoting his book on Psalm 82. Yeah. Rob's work on this has been exceptional. Okay, so let's chalk that up to another one, right? Hebrews 2:7. Pigeon not only gets wrong, but he butchers this text. Okay, what's next? Who is the Et Cepher Publishing Group? Now, in the original video that I did on this a couple weeks ago, once again, link in the description, I said, I don't think that there's anyone who is competent in the original languages. I've had conversations with Pigeon over Facebook. We were debating back and forth in a like comment section of a Facebook post. And it came like, basically I've said, who's your Hebrew teacher? He wouldn't tell me. Who's your Greek teacher? He wouldn't tell me. Eventually, he tried to come back at me with, well, who's your Hebrew and Greek teacher? I told him who my Hebrew and Greek teachers were. And basically it came out he's never taken Hebrew or Greek. So you have a guy who apparently wants to do a translation of the Bible, never taken a lick of Hebrew or Greek, and yet for some reason he thinks that he's qualified. You're going to see some of this here in just a second. It's more shocking than you might even know. But apparently he's qualified to do a, quote, translation of the Bible. But on the website, on the Et Cepher website, he says that it's not just him. It's a group of people, a group of Bible students who have made this translation. Well, our friend here who has, now I'm going to try to redact some of this because honestly, I'm not trying to dox anybody, right? I don't want people getting like emails and pestered and like harassed because they followed Pigeon into, idiocracy. But this is, so our friends got a hold of the Et Cepher Group and said, hey, just wondering. Now I've seen this email, the original email, and yep, it's from them. This is what they say. So he says, I'd like to know who is the Et Cepher Publishing Group. Keep in mind, these are the people who, quote, translated the Et Cepher. Cepher Publishing Group started initially as a small team of only 4 people. This is their email to this gentleman, in a Bible study group. So a small team of 4 people. Okay, so stop right there. I'm going to guess now you decided to do a translation of the Bible. That means that besides Stephen Pigeon, who is a lawyer and has no biblical training, obviously, whatsoever, you have 3 other people in a Bible study group. Well, they must be Hebrew and Greek scholars, right? They must be, because how else would you do a translation of the Bible? Just wait. In the Bible study group, my husband, David, and I being 2 of them. So this woman, Penny, and David, right? And then Pigeon. One of the other founding partners is more of a silent partner now and works a full-time job outside of the company in an unrelated industry. My husband also works an additional full-time job as the founder of his own company, and I'm going to redact the name of his company. I'm going to say Blank Group because that's important, the group part. A Blank Group, which is where we initially got the idea to call this new company Cepher Publishing Group. Based on his many years of business experience, he is well suited to serve CPG, Cepher Publishing Group, as the Chief Operations Officer, negotiating contracts with printers, managing the financials, etc. I serve as operation manager and hold a Master of Science degree. Oh, okay. In operations management from the University of Arkansas. I'm responsible for, oh my gosh. I mean, come on. So clearly you're qualified to translate the Bible with your science degree, and your husband being, look, I'm not trying to be mean. I think that's great. She's got a master's degree in science. That's amazing. That's wonderful. But why, like, that would be like me being like, oh, I'm going to become a scientist. Oh yeah? What credentials do you have? Well, I have a master's degree in Bible. I have a master's degree in biblical Hebrew. Like, well, then what qualifies you to be like, what? Then what qualifies you to be a scientist? Well, I like science, right? I mean, do you see the disconnect here? it just makes zero sense. I've taken a significant amount, like way more biblical languages than the most person, because it just has not clicked the same way with me, right? I've taken it over and over and over again. And even then, like, to try to translate the Bible, I'd never, like, come on. Anyway, okay, she goes on. I'm responsible for overseeing the day-to-day management of the company, which includes the warehouse, staff, customer service, distribution, inventory management, etc. I also serve as bookkeeper and marketing liaison with our webmaster. Oh, by the way, their webmaster is an outside company. We have one contract employee who assists with the IT issues, and he also oversees the Cepher Academy website registration, etc. Lastly, we have a small team of tabbers, contract employees who hand install the tabs on the Et Cephers. That's your Et Cepher publishing group. So although on their website they try to make it sound like they have some kind of credentials to handle the Word of God, clearly they don't, because it's all Pigeon doing the work in the text, right? And clearly he has no business doing that, because it's just really sad. But wait, there's more. Okay, so on the sacred name. If you're not aware, if you've never seen the Et Cepher, feel very fortunate, feel blessed that you haven't had to endure seeing this book and what they've done to the Word of God. So they have substituted God and Lord. Anytime there's the Tetragrammaton, the sacred name of God, the four-letter name of God, the covenant name of God, which is not the pronunciation of the name of God. The Jews decided not to pronounce it. They took the vowels off of it so other people wouldn't pronounce it. They put the vowels of Adonai onto it, and they don't say the name of God. And it's been lost to the general public throughout the years, okay? I could say a lot about this right now. Anyway, let's just say we don't know how to say the name of God. But Pigeon has decided that he does know how to say the name of God now. So anytime that the Tetragrammaton is used within the Tanakh, he uses the name Yahuwah, which is not a thing. I'm not sure why. I know now where he got this, but I don't know why you would use this. And then he uses Yahusha for Yeshua, which is not a name, and goes contrary to the way that it's pronounced within the Tanakh, right? Because Yeshua was a name that was it was a shortened. Yeshua is used as a shortened form of Joshua within the Tanakh, and so we know exactly how to pronounce Yeshua. It's Yeshua, not Yahusha. I would trust the Message paraphrase more than this. That is absolutely true. At least that guy was honest and open about what he was doing. That's 100%. So the John 17 Project comes in with the win on this one. I think that Pigeon is not only extremely wrong in what he's doing, but I think he's dishonest. And I think that I don't know if he's like a swindler because he wants money. I mean, he was a lawyer. He had money. So I think that he might actually be delusional enough to think that he's doing something good here. But he's gotten a lot of pushback, and he hasn't changed his ways. Okay, so this was from an interview. Now I went and read the entire interview. Okay, this is taken from the interview. This is what he says. So this is Pigeon responding to how he decided that he was going to come up with the name Yahuwah and Yahusha. So the first thing, this is him. So the first thing that we did, we decided we are going to place the sacred name in the text. Well, this was easier said than done, because we weren't quite sure as to how to pronounce the name. We could read the Hebrew. Could you, Mr. Pigeon? I don't think you actually could. We could read the Hebrew, but remember that the Hebrew has no vowels. Also not true. The Masoretic text does have vowels. I assume that he's saying the possibly the Dead Sea Scrolls. Maybe he's talking about the modern Torah scrolls today. okay? But the Masoretic text certainly has vowels. It's all consonants, particularly before the Masoretic text. So what does that even mean? Particularly before the Masoretic text? All consonants, no vowels. So you're looking at this idea of what is the word here and how do we pronounce it? So we spent 3.5 years researching that particular topic. No, we didn't. That's a lie. I'm sorry, that's a lie. There's no way you did that. Because why would you spend 3 years researching that instead of just learning Hebrew? If you spent 3 years attempting to learn Hebrew, you'd be like really proficient in it. But instead you spent 3 years researching this topic. I don't buy it. And I made 3 trips into Israel for purposes of making this determination. I also don't believe that. And it was very interesting what happened, how we discovered the actual pronunciation. There were several people here in the United States whose research indicated that the pronunciation of the name was Yahuwah. Yahuwah, and he's talking about Lou White. He has to be talking about Lou White because no one else used such an odd name before this. Yahuwah, which was the Yod, Hey, and Vav, and the Vav would be the vowel to the Hey. What? Yahuwah. And so we sought this out when we were in the Holy Land, and it was confirmed by a woman up in the north part of the Sea of Galilee. There we were. We were at Gennesar, which is at the very northern end of the Sea of Galilee, just up the road from Dalmanutha, the ancient ruins from Capernaum, where the Messiah taught. Up from the Mount of Beatitudes. And we're talking with this woman. Her name was Carol. And she said that she was Iroquois, that she came from the one of the Algonquin nations that were along the St. Lawrence River. You could not make this up. This is so stupid. You could not make this up. And that the ancient language of the Iroquois actually pronounced the name of Yahuwah. And she sang to me one of their ancient songs from which they got this name, and it was the ancient Hebrew text. And it was confirmed again in Jerusalem, where we looked at what is this proper pronunciation of the Vav, and in this context, it is who? What? This is what people are basing. This is the story that they're basing this on? Some lady named Carol? You couldn't go to I don't know, get a hold of Pimsleur. That dude's young, right? He's just a couple years older than me, but he's written the standardized Hebrew grammar of today, right? Get a hold of, I don't know, there's so many good Hebrew teachers today, right? There's so many good Hebrew teachers. Call any seminary and say, hey, can I talk to the professor of Hebrew? You going to go with some lady named Carol that you met on the road? She sang you a song, and now you're going to lead thousands of people astray because of some lady named Carol? Come on, man. Come on. This cannot be real. No one is this moronic, right? Please tell me no one's this moronic. The worst part is that it's not even the people who follow Pigeon. It's Pigeon himself. You can't be this dumb. I'm sorry. Maybe that's really rude, but you cannot be that ignorant, right? This can't be the actual story, but it is. It doesn't end here, by the way. It doesn't end here. I did not even know that the Et Cepher had Acts 29 in it. Okay, now I've written a commentary. Commentary should be used loosely, right? My commentary, I wouldn't use my commentary as... Come on. People might think I'm ignorant once they read my commentary. It's not. I mean, we could call it a commentary. It was my preaching notes that I went through Acts at the congregation I was leading. So anyway, I didn't even know that this was a claim. Okay, I went through it, I studied the book of Acts. Didn't even know this was a claim. Didn't even catch that it was in the Et Cepher, that there's an extra chapter. Okay, so anyway, there is an extra chapter in the Et Cepher. Acts 29. Now, if you read this, what happens? So, okay, let's set this up a little bit, because this is actually kind of worth setting up. Acts seems to end abruptly, right? Paul's in prison. Prison is also loose. He's on house arrest. I don't have this is such a secret show, by the way, that I don't even have my soundboard open. Rishki Bear, I appreciate the super chat. You've been blessed, right? All right. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Okay. So Acts ends in chapter 28. Paul is in house arrest in Rome. He needs to go before the emperor, right, to be cleared or not, or die. Right now, we believe that Paul actually is cleared, and he's let go. Why? Because it's pretty evident that he goes back to Ephesus again. Okay. Why does Luke end the book of Acts, his story of the book of Acts, where he does? Why does he stop in chapter 28? It seems abrupt, right? And so this is actually one of the debates that goes on among scholars. Like, okay, well, why didn't he finish it out? The answer is, I believe is that that's as much as he knew. I think he writes this while Paul's on house arrest. I actually think Luke is with him. I think that Luke is with him in Rome. I think that Luke has now traveled either with him or comes later to Rome now that he's on house arrest. And he's trying to encourage him and whatnot. So now, please don't hear me say that I think that Luke sits there and writes the book of Acts next to Paul or something like that. I don't know what the time frame is, but I think that the point is that Luke doesn't have more information. This is where he's at in the time frame. Okay, now. Would I fall on my sword for that? Absolutely not. But that's my suspicion. So, in 1871, I believe it was, okay, this guy comes out and he says, hey, guess what? Just happened to find a manuscript at Constantinople in Greek. And it was translated into English. I got the English copy of it. Found it in this library. Okay, and this is Acts 29, and it talks about Paul going to Arabia and Britain. Okay, and this is it. Now, people took a look at this, and they said, "No, this is clearly not ancient, and the Greek does not line up with the book of Acts, and it's a fraud." But some people grabbed onto it. Who particularly? Well, of course, the Hebrew Israelites, right? They need Paul to go to Britain, because what they want to do is they want to say, oh, well, there are people in Britain who are from the lost tribe of Israel. Why do they want to do that? Well, ultimately, this becomes British Israelism. That then becomes two-house theology in the Americas. Two-house theology, essentially, in the 80s, the 1980s and 90s, taught particularly by Baccia Wooten, said that if you are a believer and you have an affinity towards Israel, you love Israel, or you want to keep the Torah, or you want to keep a kosher diet or something like that, you might not know it, but you're actually from one of the lost tribes of Israel. Okay, this is the teaching that was going on, especially in the 90s. And so this all comes from British Israelism. Well, of course, British Israelism is going to want to glob onto this and say that it's real. Let's read what Pigeon has to say about this. So this is Stephen Pigeon, the quote unquote translator of the Et Cepher. We'll just call him the butcher of the KJV. Okay. This is so we're not going to read this whole thing, by the way. We're just going to, but we'll get into it a little bit. So this is what he writes. Recently, a friend of the Et Cepher wrote and asked a few especially important questions. Yeah, they're important because, anyway. My brothers and I have been engaged in a weekly Bible study. My brother gave me a beautiful copy of your Et Cepher. We finished reading the book of Acts last week, and the Et Cepher version includes chapter 29, which is missing from the other versions of the Bible that I have. I've been stewing on this for the last week, and I'm wondering if you can answer a few questions to clarify. I assume this was originally written in Greek, like the rest of the book. Are there any manuscripts to validate the authenticity? I don't know who this is, who's writing this. These are good questions. Keep going with this. If so, can you provide some references? Can you explain why other translations do not include this book? Chapter 29:13 describes an encounter between Paul. Now, this is interesting because, once again, Stephen Pigeon, for some reason, has decided to put an apostrophe in between PA and AL and not use a U. So I don't know if this is a Pigeon thing, right? Stephen Pigeon does this. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because he's trying to reference Shaul, or if I just don't know, because Paul is Paul in the Greek anyway. So he spells it very oddly. So chapter 29:13 describes an encounter between Paul and certain druids. I don't know much about druids, but from what I have read, they seem to be a priestly class of pagan worshippers. The text says that they descended from the Yehudim and that Paul gave them the kiss of peace. Can you explain how this encounter is consistent with Paul's ministry as described in the previous chapters in the book of Acts? We will take the time to answer these great questions here. Okay. First of all, let's just say this. There is no manuscript evidence for this whatsoever. The only manuscript evidence that we have is English. Okay? And so what does he say? He says, oh, well, there was I don't know if you can see can you see my thing here? Hang on just a second. Oh, yeah, you can. Okay. So right here, it says an original Greek manuscript, which was found in the archives of Constantinople. Prove it. The guy asked for proof. If you're going to say that there's anybody can claim that there was a Greek manuscript, right? I have a Greek manuscript that my father based his work on. No, you have to be able to prove it. You have to show that there is an actual manuscript. You can't just say, people have said for a long time. This is a great example, okay? People have said for a long time that the Gospels were originally written, and the Gospel of Matthew was originally written in Hebrew, okay? They'll reference all sorts of things. I've done work on this, by the way. And they'll say, oh, yeah, there was original Hebrew Matthew, right? And there's all these references to it. Well, the references actually talk about a different book, a different Gospel of Matthew. How do we know that? Because all of the quotes from it don't line up with the Gospel of Matthew. It's a different book, right? And anyway, so when people say, oh, there's an original Hebrew manuscript of Matthew, what's the response? Prove it. Show it to me. Well, they can't. The earliest Hebrew Matthew, I think, is 1300s, okay? And so when Pigeon says right here, there's an original Greek manuscript, okay, great claim. Show it to me. There's not an original Greek manuscript. This is a claim that was used to try to bolster this forgery, okay? So I'm sorry, but there's no evidence whatsoever that this was, and here's the other thing. Another point on this is that we don't have any evidence of this in any of the major or any manuscripts, right? So all the major manuscripts, Sinaiticus, right? Euphraemi, Vaticanus, right? And all of these manuscripts that have the book of Acts in them, guess what? They don't have Acts 29. So we have no original manuscripts that have Acts 29 in it. What would that tell you? I'll tell you that this is a forgery and a fake. Now, I have not read this part where he tries to tell this gentleman about let's just read this let's read some of this real quick. We might not stay on this for very long. In fact, we might ditch this real quick because unfortunately, Pigeon's exegesis of text is as good as his translating without any Hebrew knowledge. This is what he says. As for the Druids, it appears they were in fact descendants of the house of Yehuda, Judah, through Zerach, the firstborn, and his lineage being traced through his son Calcol, the founder of Athens. According to the Jewish Virtual Library, by the way, every time he quotes something, you have to go check it because he usually takes it out of context. An ancient tradition places Jews in Seville at the time of the destruction of the first temple, 586. So, I mean, we would have to go through every single one of his references here. I don't buy it. You know, if you're gonna take the Et Cepher, then okay, you know. But this is what you're getting. This is the level of of truth that you're getting. It's really very shocking. All right. Do we have anything else here? Let's just see. Have I exhausted this? I sure hope so, because I really don't want to come back to the Et Cepher. The end, once again, as I said in the original video, let me make sure I'm back on this. Yes. Okay. As I said in the original video, the Et Cepher should be avoided at all cost. It is, I mean, really, Stephen Pigeon is a butcher. He butchered the Bible. And honestly, I don't think the Holy One is going to take too kindly to leading so many people astray. And honestly, I mean, it's just dumbfounding to me that people would accept this. There's just so many problems with it. And it's based on, you know, the book of Jasher. You know, I just don't know how you would explain away. Go watch some of the debates that have been done on the book of Enoch, and whether or not it's canonical. You know, I think it's chapter 71, verses 12 through 14. The book of Enoch says that Enoch is the son of man that Daniel talks about. I've never seen anybody be able to explain this, who believes that the book of Enoch should be canonized. It's honestly, it's sad. It's wearing, right? Because it's bad. Anyway, all right. We didn't make it an hour. That's totally fine. You don't need to listen to me for a full hour. But I will be back on Wednesday. We're going to have a lot of fun on Wednesday. We're going to start looking at Rudolph's paper on one law theology. And yeah, some of his claims. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting stuff. If you have questions or comments, whether it's on the Et Cepher or something else, please send them on in. chegg@torresource.com, chegg@torresource.com. That's the email address. You can also give me a call, 253-465-3205. That's an answer machine. You won't talk to me. You'll just talk to an answer machine. Say whatever you want. And, of course, do not forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. I know it sounds weird, but it really does help me. All right. Everybody in the chat room, good job making it for the secret show. No warning needed. Just jump on in. Look at you. You guys are great. All right. I'll be back in 2 days. Wednesday. Catch me Wednesday. We'll talk about Rudolph. We hope that this conversation has done at least one thing. That is to glorify our great God and Savior, Yeshua the Messiah. Why? You know why. Because Messiah matters.